It may be nothing, but it's always something when it comes to the health and the Philadelphia 76ers. Welcome to the PHLY Sixers pregame show presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Along with Rich, I'm Devon. Bree is producing. She's the president of basketball operations. All of you in the chat, you're hanging out with us as we are coming to you live from the Xfinity studio and here with you for Sixers Celtics round 3 tonight as they take on the Boston Celtics. But before we get to round 3 with the Sixers Celtics starters and the Bet365 pregame picks a little bit later, we have to talk about the breaking news that happened earlier in the day. And that is because early on when the injury report started to drop early on in the day, they started around 7. Well, it starts really early in the morning. And yesterday he wasn't on there. Joel Embiid, 10:30, 11:30, also not on there. And then boom, right around 12:30, 1:30, if I'm just checking here as I refresh my injury report from earlier today, he was not on there at 12:30, and he appeared on there right around 1:30 on the injury report, and it says right knee soreness. Right knee soreness. Yes, you heard me right, because it is the left knee that is the one that's surgically repaired, the one he has to wear the brace, the one that he's monitoring, the one that causes him to miss these games, load management, right knee injury management, not playing on the second night or the first night of back-to-backs, whichever one he chooses to play of the two. And tonight, it's because of the uncomfortable feeling that he has now in the right knee. But Rich, before we get your thoughts and everybody else's thoughts there in the chat, Rich, we got to hear from the head coach and hear from Nick Nurse. Kyle asks the first question here as we get ready to play the audio. A few other media members throw some other questions along with the Paul George update that was supposed to be over the weekend. It's now Tuesday. I don't know of any holidays yet that were, maybe I missed one that it's the extended weekend, right? The long weekend, right? You get an extra day or two for the long weekend.
It's Veterans Day today.
All right.
You don't usually get off school or work for that, but
maybe they're counting it as that.
And they're working on Veterans Day.
And they're working on Veterans Day, and they're also giving out to the fans some great caps, the fatigue caps with the 76ers logo in honor of Veterans Day. And thank you to all the vets out there. Let's get to Nick Nurse. If you have not heard the head coach speak about Joel Embiid popping up on the injury report at 1:30, the update on Paul George, here's Nick Nurse pregame.
How you doing? All right, go ahead.
Nick, what's the latest you've been given on Joel? He was not on the injury report at all last night, and then obviously got added around midday today.
Yeah, so we had shoot around today, obviously day off yesterday. He just reported a little soreness in his right knee. He's had some imaging on that this afternoon, and the doctors are here tonight to go over that with him.
So are you expecting any kind of urgent update on that if they're here going over imaging, or?
Not urgent, but this evening, yeah.
Is the expectation, I know you haven't spoken to anybody yet, but is the expectation that he'll be out a couple games? Or?
No expectations at all. We're going to see what they say about the imaging, yeah.
Sarah, you had said the other day that Paul was going to get looked at over the weekend.
Yep.
Is there any sense of where things sit with that?
He has been looked at this weekend. He also has the doctor and the surgeons here this evening as well to go over that as well. So again, we'll have some more info on where he is and his status shortly.
As far as Joel, do you think it was something, or was it something that happened in a game, or just soreness? Or?
There's no certain play or something like that they've been able to pinpoint. He just, again, he showed up today with some soreness at shoot around, so they're going to try and figure out what's going on. Yeah.
All right, head coach Nick Nurse pregame. Before you get started, Rich, he is tired of answering these questions from last season to this season. Man, he's tired of answering this question.
Look, man, when you're an NBA head coach, I honestly think, obviously, we care about coaching the team and rotations and drawing up ATOs at the end of the game. A major portion of your job is being the public spokesman for the team on a day in, day out basis. That's just what you sign up for. Unfortunately for Nick Nurse, who, by the way, I don't feel bad for him. He makes $10 million plus.
And he took this job with Joel Embiid's medical history.
Being the public spokesman for the Philadelphia 76ers is a little bit tougher than the other teams around the league, for sure.
Right.
So yes, he definitely is tired. Okay, so let's get to the situation here and how we feel about this. So as you said, this is the quote-unquote good knee. This is not the one that he's had surgically repaired twice now. And the first thing I would say is we don't know. We don't know sort of how long he'll be out for. We don't know if it's definitely not Jimmy Butler general soreness, but could it be closer to that and tendonitis than a major long-term issue? Sure, we don't know. And I'm not going to speculate on what it is until we find out more.
Absolutely.
And until the Sixers give us more information. And that's where everybody in the chat and watching says, well, Rich, they never give us clear information. And I say, that's true, but we gotta work with what they give us.
Case in point, Paul George.
Yes. And we'll get to that in a second. So I completely understand that. So the first thing that came to mind when I read that he was out tonight with right knee soreness is that I wonder if he's been overcompensating a little bit. We talk all the time about how hard it is to push off that left knee. I think we were having a conversation after the Toronto game the other night when he was on the left side of the floor and you remarked, well, that's better because when you're on the left side of the floor and you decide to drive to the basket, he got blocked by Scotty Barnes a couple of times. You're pushing off on your right knee first initially, and then most of the time you're jumping off that right knee as well. So you wonder, you see this a lot in athletics where, okay, this knee is banged up. I don't completely trust it. It's not healthy. Then I put a lot of pressure on that other knee, and I kind of wonder if that has caught up to him. Now, I don't know if that's the case. It's just speculation from my standpoint, but I do think that's probably the likeliest scenario here.
It's a good point, though. It's a good idea to go that way, just because of experience and stuff like this in the past. Maybe not for ourselves, but just simply watching and understanding when you have covered a team for as long as you have and having to write these stories and get information. That tends to happen. And me being I play a medical expert here on the podcast.
In fairness, you have more experience,
when
right?
you've had these types of injuries, yeah, that stuff happens where you do overcompensate on the good leg and not necessarily on the bad one. But, Rich, it's just because, as you just said at the very top after listening to Nick Nurse, this is what you sign up for. But Sixers fans, yes, when you got Joel Embiid all the way back in 2014, they didn't know they were going to be signing up for this 12 years later, 11 years later into his career, where this is something that, all right, we're getting through the bad knee. We're talking about him trusting himself and processing it all and figuring out how to play both offense and defense, the best way to push off and run, the best way to jump, all those things. And then you get here on this one where you have the good knee. Is this one going to be a problem because of what you're maybe doing with overcompensating with the bad knee? So you get off to this good start. There's some positive things. We keep talking about the reinforcements coming back. Jared McCain is not yet himself, but he's in uniform. Dominic Barlow is now at shoot-around. He's not playing tonight, but he's at shoot-around.
Finally.
He's wearing the sleeve without that big whatever he had on his arm. Finally, yes.
We got such good news. The only good news that we're getting on the injury front from the Sixers is that the longest laceration I've ever seen to heal seems like it's almost healed at this point, and he'll be back.
Right. But with it, I mean, this is just a tough one because, again, he sat out night 2 of that back-to-back. He had a day off on Monday, and here we are, not on the injury report last night, on the injury report earlier today. And he was not there until 1:30, and now we're getting ready for a big game against the Boston Celtics, where this is going to be a team that maybe they're also battling for positioning later in the season, and you're only going to have one game left in March against them later on where it may matter. Games like tonight count, especially when you're playing at home and you have 7 of 10 at home the rest of this month and going into the one more game in the start of December. So for the fans and even for us, because we also get tired of, damn, again, but not to overreact, but it's just more of, as people always go to, we can't have nice things.
Yeah.
This is where you get a little frustrated of, oh, come on, man, not again.
I feel bad also. You mentioned the fans. You mentioned, the people in the organization. I'll tell you the people who I would be the most frustrated, and that's the guys on the court, because, you have Tyrese Maxey who's playing so well, and even the other night, people were mad after the game, but they didn't have Joel Embiid in that game. They didn't have Paul George in that game, and I feel like Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, I know Quentin Grimes has been up and down for a lot of people. Kelly Oubre, a lot of these players are exceeding expectations so far this season. Andre Drummond is exceeding expectations. Now he brought the bar down quite a bit after last year, but he has played pretty well at the start of this year, and they are not getting help. So two things. I'm going to go back to two comments that Embiid has made over the last month and a half, right? And I'm going to say, I'm going to give him credit for one of them, and I'm going to be the bad guy on another one. So the one that I do want to say that he prepared us for this was media day, when he said, this whole thing with my knee, it's going to be unpredictable. There are going to be ups and downs. It's not going to be a completely smooth process. I feel like this fits in right there with that line of thinking, right? That there are going to be days that maybe he's just out for a week here, guys. And again, we don't know. And maybe that's sort of what he's talking about with, hey, look, week to week, it's going to be an unpredictable, difficult process. We're going to be conservative, all of those things. So I'm going to give him credit for this, but I'm going to be the bad guy right now for this one. Mm-hmm. I don't want to hear one more minute of him not liking this minutes restriction. I don't want to hear it, because look, man, he's playing 20 to 25 minutes a game. They're giving him 2 games off between every single game, and you still can't play in this game. So that's a bit of a bummer. Like, it's clear that you need the injury or the minutes restriction at some point, because your body is just not holding up at the level it needs to play consistent NBA basketball. So they're clearly doing that for a reason, and that is a bummer. And then, so the last thing, and that's the only thing I'm going to be a bad guy about. I'm just a little tired of hearing about that, because I do feel bad for him. And the last thing I'll say is that before the season, I labeled this Sixers 25-26 season, they are the no expectation Sixers. You can't hurt anybody watching the Sixers at this point. I'm sure you can if you build up the expectations enough. But after last season and how rough it's been and how many ups and downs that this fan base has gone through, there's no expectations on this year, because truthfully, we didn't know what we were going to get from Joel Embiid. The problem is, Devon, the first 10 games of this season, it gave some people some hope, and I think for good reason. Tyrese Maxey is playing some unbelievable. You guys had the question on yesterday's pod, is he an MVP candidate? And yeah, you got to at least have him in the conversation. So it got to the point where, I'm playing the relax card the other night after the Embiid and PG-less Sixers dropped the second half of a back-to-back against the number 1 team in the conference. And I'm saying, guys, it's okay. Like, they don't have overwhelming talent at this point. So that's a bummer. I mean, I get it, how they sort of raised the expectations with this fast style and good play. And the other thing that raised the expectations the other night, Devon, Joel was really good the other night, man.
Yeah.
That game against Toronto was the best game he has played all season. He got into the post. He jumped and he contested some shots as well. Again, not as much of the second jumps as well, but it really felt like he was moving around better. And then to get hit by this is a legitimate bummer. But again, is it like that surprising, considering, the tenuous nature of his knees and his body, and knowing that there could be bad news around the corner? No, it's not that surprising. The hope is that it's just a minor speed bump, and you'll get him back even in a part-time role sooner rather than later.
Yep. So we'll get to the Paul George side of things on the other side. Let's take our first break. We'll talk about the Sixers Celtics, because there still is a basketball game to be played, and
they can win.
They can still win this basketball game.
Win.
So we'll come back. We'll talk about Paul George. We'll get into the actual game, the starters, etc. Pregame picks as well. We're hanging out with you on the pregame. No Joel Embiid, Paul George, Dominic Barlow still out. We're talking about it all right here on the PHLY Sixers pregame show. And we are presented by Bet365. Everybody, we'll have our pregame picks a little bit later, but we've been doing pretty good overall with our pregame picks here on the show. And if you are not one of the 90 million users worldwide, what are you waiting for? Come on in, jump on in. We've been having a pretty good start, I believe, through the 10 games. We are right now 7-10. As far as I am, Bree will tell you what hers is, but as far as I am, 7-10 through the first 10 games. And we would like to
7 of 10?
Don't
say 7 and 10. 7 of 10. You're
7
cooking.
of 10. We've done all right. We've done all right. So we look to keep that going here tonight. Tuesdays is a big night on Bet365 as well, because you can protect your picks on Bet365 by simply making sure you have the app, number one, if you're already signed up. And when you do sign up, you have a safety net bet there where you get up to $10 back in the tip-off Tuesdays. How about also a 30% profit boost on same-game parlays on any of the games? So if you have not signed up yet to take advantage of those two cool things, breaking news. It's not injury related. It's just simply allowing you to go sign up right now and deposit $10. Place a bet for $5, and you get $300 in bonus bets, win or lose on your first bet. You heard me right, $300 on bonus bets, win or lose. You can use those on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And Devon, the other day, I was over at Kyle Neubeck's place. He was pumped to watch basketball, but his setup, it's a total mess. Lagging, buffering, and switching between apps trying to find the game.
Shame.
He claimed he was a big fan, but I felt like I was fan-fished. See, if you call yourself a basketball fan, you gotta have Xfinity. It's the ultimate sports destination. I can find the best games and my favorite teams all in one place. And the way that I watch, next level. It's the perfect fan flex. I've got all the action right in my living room, plus Xfinity's best picture and sound with enhanced 4K, so clear that it feels like I'm in Xfinity Mobile Arena. And guys, sometimes I've got 4 games going at once because why not? And on top of that, I get real-time notifications and live stats right there on my TV. It's the best seat in the house every single time. So next game day, make sure that big fan isn't a big fail. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Restrictions apply. Multi-view requires Xfinity 4K capable TV box.
Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers pregame show. Sixers 6-4. Celtics right now, they're right there, hanging in there, right around the same, with
they're
the
okay.
5-4 record. They're right there. So it's going to be a tough one. 1-1. These two teams have split the first 2 games so far. One in Boston, one in Philadelphia. We'll get to them shortly. But Paul George.
Yeah, we should get to Paul George first. I'm just going to be comical about this one. Remember the Glenn Robinson, Alec Burks delay after the trade deadline?
So I brought that one up for the Barlow injury with Kyle and Derek during the show. But you go ahead.
Yeah, that's a type of injury that would be, because the joke was always, man, did they come on the Oregon Trail to Philadelphia or whatever? And yeah, I'm sure that laceration back in the 1800s, that would have been difficult. So these Paul George doctors, they were supposed to meet with him. Nick Nurse said over the weekend, and now they're meeting with him tonight. Like, are they dealing with typhoid fever elsewhere? Like, what is going on with this Paul George situation? I don't know what is going on with Paul George. It's extremely goofy and weird to me. Did something happen behind the scenes with this knee that just, it's not responding the way? I don't know what's going on. But to me, it's also weird. I have nothing else to say on Paul George, except this is taking a long time, and I don't really understand the messaging that's going on.
I don't know either. I was really confident that he would play after the first 5 games of the season. I thought that next week, right around 6, 7, maybe even 8 at the latest, that he would suit up, and that would have been over the weekend in one of those 2 back-to-backs. But here we are. We're going into game number 11. And I'll say it to you like I said to the guys, if he doesn't play on Friday against Detroit in Detroit, then I'm like, all right, what's going on? An update is needed is basically what I'm saying. Because all we were waiting on, he's practicing, he's playing 5s, he's doing all these things, he's traveling with the team. all right, now it's time to get on the floor. Now, just like we talked about last season, the guy went through a major injury with the bone bruise in that preseason game. He came back. He looked pretty good. He re-injured that. He was never himself. The Sixers got off to a pretty good start here. And is this the case of, like Joel Embiid, and Derek always says this, basically protecting yourself from yourself of putting him out there too soon? And is there a cushion because of them getting off to a good start? They're jumbled up with everybody else in the Eastern Conference for those top 6 seeds, but they're winning games, and they're playing close games even in the losses. Are they doing that and just saying, all right, when we really need him, we'll get him out there? But we also know that he's going to be on a management as well. So put him out there for one, maybe not for the next one as far as a back-to-back, and space him out in the similar fashion that you're talking about with Joel Embiid. But this one is a little more puzzling than, of course, a big laceration that we're having to laugh about because it's not that serious, but it's a knee. He's 35. You don't want what happened last year to rear its ugly head in this season as well.
I'm all good with that, but they built it up as it was going to be an early November return. Like they made it sound like the messaging that was out there was like, yeah, he's not going to play in the opener, but it's not going to be too long after that. All right, man, we're in game 11 now. So I don't know. And it's frustrating too. I think part of the reason, Devon, it's frustrating for me is that as much as this fan base largely doesn't really care for Paul George, I think this team desperately needs him.
And I think the team, the fans, although they may not care, they do want him on the floor to help them out.
I think probably probably half of them. The ones who there are some people who I would call more casuals who are probably like, I don't even want to watch this guy.
All right, that's true.
Probably
that's
nobody
true.
in the chat for the most part, but I do think some people are just kind of sick of him. But the people, who are watching every single game, I think realize like, oh yeah, Kelly Oubre is the only wing that really plays in every game. And Kelly Oubre has to play the 4th most minutes in the NBA because they have no other wings. Like you guys were talking about the transition defense the other day. I was like, you know who would really help with the transition defense? Paul George. You know why? Because you would tell him, Paul, you never have to crash for the glass. Don't do that. Don't test the knee like that unless you're in perfect rebounding position. Get back, and then you have a 6'8" athletic guy who's back on defense and can sort of handle those charges in transition that the Sixers are giving up. So, yeah, man, they really need him back. I think it's probably even more frustrating that he's not playing because you're getting such good minutes from Maxey, from Edgecombe, from all these guys, and you're like, man, this guy would also be really helpful.
Especially with the Justin Evers piece not working out right now. That other wing would be him. Right? The other wing would be Paul George. So there's that.
People like my cat Taryn's like my filthy casuals comment. I didn't mean that. He didn't
mean it like that, everybody. You know what he means.
Like my uncle who watches like 5 games of the Sixers is like, this overpaid bum, like these guys, like the talk radio callers.
What up, Unc?
Yeah. So they need him, but yeah, I don't know. This is weird. I hope they can get him back because I do think he would really help.
All right, over really under for Paul George, and then we'll get to the game. Next 5 games, over under, yes or no? When do you see him in one of those games?
I think the over under has to be next game.
So you stop right there.
I'm stopping right there. If it's not next game, then you're right.
Because Friday is the next one, and then they play
Monday. They have a long break after a long break that they've had for this game as well.
Extended weekend, if you would call it.
Yeah.
All right, Friday. He has an over-under of a half a game. There you go. And that's it for Paul George. All right, let's get to the game tonight.
By the way,
yes.
I'm excited to watch the game tonight. These guys have proven that they can be competitive without Joel Embiid and Paul George and Dominic Barlow for a little bit. They have some rest. They've been at home for the last couple days. They got a shot and a little bit of revenge from the last time Boston came in here.
2 points separate these two teams here. The Sixers won the opening night game by 1 point. A thriller in that one where they had to come back. They came back in the next game as well, which was the NBA Cup game, and they lost that one by 1 point, 109-108. So things have been very close between these two teams, and you will not again see them until March. I believe it's March 1st. So with the Sixers and the Celtics getting ready to go at it tonight, Sixers 6-4. Boston has played better as of late, where they got off to like a 1-4 start, 1-5 start, I believe it was. And right now, in the standings, they are 5-6 on the season. I said 5-4. My mistake. They are 5-5, obviously, in their last 10. They won their last game. So Rich, tonight, no Joel Embiid, but with the starters, we can just get ready to throw those up right now, Bree, to let everybody know where they are with the starters. Andre Drummond gets to start at the 5 once again, and then the rest of the team is rounded out by Trendon Watford,
Like
Kelly
that?
Oubre, along with VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey. So I ask you, what are you looking for from this team tonight? Because, as you pointed out, this is a winnable game and a little revenge on their mind.
Definitely a little more Trendon Watford, because he was not really, I think that was probably only a second game back when he played against the Celtics.
And I believe he only played 11 minutes in that game.
Yeah, he was not as big of a part of the team. He also was coming back from missing a lot of training camp in the first couple weeks of the season as well. Devon, if I remember that game pretty well. It was on Halloween. It was, again, it's funny, man. Like, I used to joke that they would play the Hornets. Like, it's just like, man, they're playing Kemba Walker and the Hornets like 6 times in a 2-week span. What's going on here? It
And they
really
did
feels
that
like
last year.
And it feels like that.
That's how they stole 4 wins early in the year.
Yes, it was early in the year. Sometimes, those Hornets games, they come in bunches. Okay, that's not important right now. But anyway, they've been playing the Celtics a lot. And the last game, if you'll recall, the reason they lost that one was because they got down early because their defense stunk.
Again.
And they climbed back into the game. I mean, it was a 24-point deficit in that game. And they came back, and it was a game on the seesaw in the fourth quarter. I mean, they made up that lead really fast. And that's, that goes to show we've seen the Sixers cough up 24-point leads, and we've seen them get back 24-point leads. That's kind of the nature of NBA basketball with how fast the game is now, and also with how many threes they shoot. No lead is safe. The big way they got back in that game, man, Kelly Oubre's defense on Jaylen Brown starting in probably midway through the second quarter was awesome. Jaylen Brown was absolutely cooking them to build that lead. Peyton Pritchard was also cooking them to build that lead as well.
Especially early. Yeah.
They made every shot early in that game too. There was a little bit of fluky shot making, I would say. Simons made a couple difficult ones. Not a team that's going to get to the rim all that much, but they just let them walk into mid-range jumpers and
Xavier
threes.
Tillman was hitting threes in that game.
Yeah, some of it was fluky. Some of it was, I thought the defense could have been a little bit better. If we can get that level of defense from Kelly Oubre for the entire game, because he really, he got mad in the middle of the second quarter, and he's like, I'm just going to charge through every single screen. And obviously, that's a guy who plays with great effort at all times. But then he picked up the defense. VJ picked up the defense. Bona actually had some good moments in that game on the defensive end. Can you give us that level of effort for most of the 48 minutes and not cough up the lead? It's a winnable game if you can do that.
Absolutely. Celtics will run out tonight with their starting lineup: Derek White, Peyton Pritchard, along with Jaylen Brown. Josh Minott also. Is it Minott or Minot? I think it's Minott. Also gets the start. Minott. And he played pretty well in that last game. And Neemias Queta gets the start at the 5.
No
Also
black jerseys
gave
for
them
the Sixers
trouble.
tonight?
No black jerseys tonight. That was just a back-to-back for the weekend. They go with I think they go with the blue tonight.
Oh, they're blue?
I think they are with the their blue, which is basically their main uniform. It's like they're white at home.
Well, that's going to be useful to have the darker shade with Jaylen Brown, put his head down on drives.
Yeah, you don't want to, like we're not,
Come on.
But I'm not putting any of that.
But if I put my head down, man, it's not leaving a mark.
No, it is not. It's not doing that. So that's your starting lineup for the Boston Celtics tonight. And then once again, a winnable game for the Philadelphia 76ers. We'll see how the Sixers play against the Celtics here tonight. It's been a very close one in the end, but they continue to get down in those third quarters where they have to then, as Rich pointed out, fight back. So an opportunity, a really good opportunity. Once again, 8 of their next 11 games are at home, this being one of them. Take advantage of your opportunities at home. Get the crowd behind you in this one. Let's get to our Bet365 pregame picks presented by Bet365. Never ordinary at Bet365. All right, we're rolling. Let's see what we have here tonight, Bree. Let's start with Bree's same game parlay plus 165. Bree has Peyton Pritchard with 15 plus. I like that. Tyrese Maxey over under 1.5 steals and blocks. He has been very active defensively in those two categories where he's had some surprise blocks. Certainly getting there, digging in for some steals as well. So I like that, plus 165. I went with the combined same game parlay of plus 120. Watford, you mentioned, Rich, 9.5 rebounds and assists. I went with for tonight. Derek White, 2+ made threes. That's a plus 120. If you like those both, you can do those individually, or you can combine them once again at Bet365. Make sure you jump on in there. New customers, $300 when you deposit 10. Place a bet for $5, $300 in bonus bets. Bet365. Sign up code PHLY365. Whatever the moment's never ordinary at Bet365. You like those?
I like them. You guys have been cooking.
I'm feeling good about this one tonight. I'm feeling good about
Bree's
it.
feeling good. All right.
We're going to make a comeback, guys.
I think you're
We're
good.
going to make a comeback.
I think you're good. All right. How you feeling as we get ready to step off?
I think it's
close
a
game.
I think it's a toss-up game.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep, absolutely. All right, let's do it, everybody. We'll be back after the game for the Bet365 post-game show, of course, presented by Bet365. Rich, Bree, myself will be here. Kyle will check in from the arena. We'll see what we have, and maybe we'll get an update some point during the game with the doctors in the building. Maybe, right? We'll get an update on what's going on with the two stars from the Sixers, Embiid and George. All right, thanks to everybody for hanging out with us. Hit the like button on the way out, and let's reconvene after the game. 10 minutes after the game goes final, we'll be right back here together for the post-game show. We'll talk to you then. Enjoy the game, everybody.
We all silly like the mayor.